everyone, and welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. I'm Jessica Stutzman. The mission of the Tom Ridge Environmental Center Foundation is to forge a partnership between the private sector and the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources at Presque Isle State Park in order to enhance educational programming, natural history research, and Erie visitor services, opportunities of the highest quality to assure that the Tom Ridge Environmental Center is nationally recognized as a center of excellence now and for generations to come. With us today is the President and CEO of the Tom Ridge Environmental Center Foundation, David Martin.
Sorry the mission's so long.
No, it's not at all. It's a wonderful mission. I really appreciate everything that you guys do. And what I wanted to first touch on was that you guys have changed your name.
We have. We were for years known as Friends of the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. And that said, I've been here 6 months. And one of the things that I looked at when I came on board, we were reimagining what the organization should be, who we should be, what we should stand for, what our vision was. We realized there was a lot of confusion with that name. And a lot of nonprofits have a friends group as part of the overall organization. And it's normally a volunteer organization. And I think the confusion over are you a fundraising organization? Are you a volunteer organization? I think hurt the organization over the years. So we had a number of conversations with Governor Ridge as well, and we all agreed that being a true foundation was one way we would be able to grow and really, that long mission you just read, really make that happen. So,
and I love that Governor Tom Ridge is still involved and still connected with you guys, and he obviously cares about, you know, the TREC Center and your organization. And this was really just to clarify what you guys were doing already.
Very much so. And I remember that what came out of the meeting that I had, it was supposed to be about a 15-20 minute photo op when I first started to kind of announce that I was here and I was in that position. And you know, two and a half hours later, you know, we were still talking. And I remember what I took away from it was he said, this is such a jewel. What we have in this building, what is in the Tom Ridge Environmental Center, and what is in the park, and we need to do a better job telling the story and telling people what is going on. And we kind of took that and ran with it.
And so tell me the history of the organization and what year it actually began.
2006, it became an entity at the same time that the building opened. And initially, if you go back and you read all the original planning and a lot of the paperwork that was around back in 2006, it was supposed to be a foundation, but it somehow, for whatever reason, became Friends of the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. So the organization dates back to when the doors opened, played a major part in actually getting those doors open and putting the displays and all of the educational opportunities, and a lot of what you see when you walk into the entrance is because of the Friends, because of all the work that was done. My predecessor, Ann DiTullio, who's now a board member of the organization, was the first executive director of the organization and is still very much involved today, but I really kind of credit her in making so much of what makes that place special happen.
And you mentioned Ann DiTullio, who is on the board. Does your organization have staff members or a board of directors or just regular members? How does your operation?
Well, we have a board of directors, a very active board of directors. Ann DiTullio right now is one of the officers. John Lemus, very well known, was involved. He's an attorney. A lot of people know him, and in the business community in Erie, was involved from the very beginning and kind of putting the articles of corporation together for the organization. But very active, and right now there's 2 staff members. It's myself and there's a director of operations that is very involved, and as we continue to grow and go down the road with some of the things we're going to talk about, we'll be adding to that.
And it's my understanding that you're fairly new to the organization yourself. How long have you been there, and where did you come from?
I arrived just in time for winter. It was in November.
Your first winter in Erie?
My first winter in Erie, and everybody tells me it wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
November, mid-November, I think, is when I arrived. And it has been just a whirlwind 6 months for me. We've changed the name, we've announced new initiatives, we've got a lot on our plate, but Everybody wants not just the facility, but for the foundation to really take the role that it was meant to have back in 2006. So I'm excited to put that together. But yeah, just 6 months. I'm an Erie newbie.
An Erie newbie, and you actually have a lot of background in doing the work that you're doing now.
I do. I was running a chamber of commerce in Westmoreland County in what's considered the Laurel Highlands. A lot of people know the towns of Latrobe because of Arnold Palmer, who was a member, and that was a highlight of working there, was working with him on different initiatives locally. And Ligonier is a historic town in Westmoreland County, so that's where I was there for a number of years. And before that, ran a chamber in southern Delaware. Both areas very tourism driven. So probably why we've started doing what some of the things we're doing, because of that tourism and that partnership, relationship building background from the chamber. Before that, I was with the Arthritis Foundation, which was purely fundraising. I worked in Washington, D.C., and it was in a regional development role, and that plays into what we're doing as well.
And I understand one of the first initiatives, like you just mentioned, when you came on board, was to make the TREC Center into Erie's official visitor center. Why did this happen, and why was this so important?
And it's not the first time I've been asked that question. One of the things the facts that blew me away when I arrived was the fact that Presque Isle State Park sees more visitors than Yellowstone.
Really?
Yes. And I said, well, how many is that? How many people are you talking about? And it's 4.3 million people that drive by the entrance of the Tom Ridge Environmental Center and go into the park each year. And then we started looking at, well, how many of those people are actually making the turn and actually coming in to see all that great facility has to offer? And it was hovered around 2%, and when you stripped away some of the school trips that the foundation actually funded, it was under 2%. And I said, well, that's got to increase. One of the ways, and going back to what Governor Ridge said when I met with him early on, was telling the story. How do we tell the story? And if you're coming to Presque Isle, and a lot of people are coming from other parts of Pennsylvania and Ohio and New York, they make the trip, but what are they going to do the rest of the time? What are we doing to plant seeds for future visits? Aside from a day at the beach or a day on the boat, what is it you might want to do the rest of the week or even that night? And we were in a unique position to tell that story. Meetings began with Visit Erie, who I think does an amazing job. They've just kind of rebranded going into this summer, with talking about indulge a little, play a little, explore a little, experience a little, eat a little, drink a little. It's a great campaign, and I said, why don't we partner, since we're at the gateway, we're the kind of the welcome mat to the area's #1 attraction. We're right across the street from Waldemere, the other major attraction in the area. Let's bring people in, show them the park. Show them things they didn't know, make it a learning experience, but at the same time, let's tell the story of the area. And that was really the idea, and it opened on the 25th. And I'm anxious to see how many people actually make the turn now. And there's new signage, not just at our entrance, but there'll be new signage coming off of Route 90 on 79, and then all of the roads intersecting Peninsula Drive will have signage either saying Erie Visitor Center or Tom Ridge Environmental Center and Visitor Center.
And I think that'll really help make people, like you said, take that turn. So the Tom Ridge Center is right across from Waldemere. If you've been around a while, it used to be the old drive-in movie theater. And I think, again, maybe if people were just passing it and driving onto Presque Isle, they were probably accidentally stopping at the ranger station, weren't they?
I think, and that still happens, and I think the new signage right at our entrance says Park Office and Erie Visitor Center. I think people that wanted information about the park or a boat slip or a permit of any kind, questions maybe about fishing, they would drive into the park, stop at the ranger station, and then have to come back.
Right.
So hopefully we're alleviating both those issues. And environmental center, what does that mean to a visitor, to someone that's traveling here, say from Pittsburgh, who just wants to spend a long weekend or a week here on Presque Isle? If they're not environmentally minded, that may not be a turn they necessarily want to make. They want to relax, they want to lay on the beach, they just want to have a drink, go to a restaurant. Now saying that it's a visitor center, I think takes away that confusion.
Right.
think for many people in Erie have told me in the time I've been here, there was kind of a question mark that kind of hovered over the building. What is an environmental center? Is it a governmental agency? Is it a government building? Is there research going on there? Why would I turn?
Right.
I think we're taking that away.
Right, and I used to work there, so I think sometimes I take for granted. I know what it is. And I think, like you said, thinking as an outsider, if I were maybe in a different town and I heard environmental center, maybe I would even think museum. Do I have to pay to get in? You know, you kind of, those things cross your mind. But with a visitor center, you know, I do want to touch on what attractions can people see when they actually pull up to the Tom Ridge Center and walk inside?
Oh, sure. I mean, you walk in and there's these, you remember the 3 towers, which is a mechanical and engineering marvel, and you have to really see them to understand what they are, but kids just love them. The visitor center is right there. There is the history of the park. There, you know, natural history research. There's education. There's a child's kind of a children's room that PNC Bank has sponsored. The big green screen is one of the best kept movie secrets, I think, in the area. It's IMAX-like. It's a great experience, and the films that are being shown there always kind of tie into the mission. There's a gift shop, I think, that is the probably one of the best local gift shops as far as having anything to take home or give as a gift that is very Prescow related, locally made. There's a cafe that very few people know of, and really great food very close to the park. I think people will be very surprised at the displays, and one of the things we're going to be doing going forward is really looking to update all of that after 10 years and make it a new experience in some way every time somebody comes in the door.
And then you also have, and I do want, like I said, I want to give credit to the gift shop. First of all, it's always on my Christmas list. You can buy anything in the gift shop, I'll be happy. The cafe, like you said, is wonderful. They've got the tower that you can go up and look through the viewfinders.
Good point.
Yes.
And you know that if you've never gone up in the tower, you got to do it.
Yes.
It's the best view.
It is.
Of, I think, the lake anywhere.
Yes, and you can see the
very few
ravine
people,
flyer coming over the
Very
the road.
few people know, and it is a highlight of stopping at the Tom Ridge Environmental Center, the tower. Absolutely.
And then usually on the second floor, and I know because I just judged it, they had a wonderful art competition. It was, you know, pastels and oils and ceramics, and it was wonderful. But it's not always an art competition. You know, sometimes, you know, it's changed and it's a dinosaur exhibit. So that's usually on the second floor, something really neat and exciting going on.
And I think that's one of the things that we want to see evolve and revolve more and more as we go forward. So there's always something new. That's the show you're referring to is a mixed media student art competition. Which is very, very popular. There was a senior citizens art competition right before that, the dinosaur exhibit with Mercyhurst College that you mentioned. There was a fishing exhibit, which was, when I first arrived, which was huge as far as people wanting to look at how fishing was done way back when and how it's done today. And there was a shipwreck you know, exhibit that many people want us to bring back. So. Right.
And to go through these exhibits, I mean, it's all free.
It's all free.
Right.
Yeah, it's all free. There's a charge for the theater if you decide to see a movie, and of course if you want something to eat and whatever you want in the gift shop. But just coming in to get information on the region, or learn about Presque Isle, go through all of the history sections and the environmental sections. It's all free, and a great place for someone to start their visit, and for locals to come in and learn.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That, you know, I mean, you can go in, grab flyers, pamphlets. The desk staff is always very knowledgeable and helpful. So just go in, ask some questions, and I think they're going to really enjoy the experience.
And our partnership with Environment Erie now has added a person. So Environment Erie will have a person at the desk along with the park volunteers whenever we're open. So there's a wealth of information, whether it's information about the lake, about the park, about, you know, anything peninsula related. And there's also somebody that is very well versed at all attractions and places to eat and to play and to, you know, have fun.
Yeah, and so you said, and you mentioned it already, but your partnership with Visit Erie, I mean, that's also fairly new as well then.
It's brand new, and it really started with this visitor center because we realized there's nobody better right now in Erie telling that story and promoting the Erie experience to the region. So partner with them. And there was really no official visitor center in Erie before. There was some displays at the Intermodal location of Visit Erie's offices, but that goes back to my original point, how many people make their way down there.
Right.
And if we can connect the park and the bayfront and the town, I think places like the Maritime Museum, the hotels down there, the restaurants,
Right.
All benefit. And I would venture to say a lot of people that come up don't know that we have a great zoo, don't know that we have a great minor league baseball team it's a blast. So if they can find out and that's how they spend their evening, then that's a win. I've said before, if somebody comes in and they're already environmentally minded, and they end up on the wine trail or they end up at a Seawolves game, well, that's a win for Erie. And if somebody comes in wanting a map or just wanting to kind of discover where should we eat this week, and they end up becoming engaged in some of the missions in the building and learning about what we do, and that's a win for the environment. So to me, it's a big win-win.
It is, and I have to give a plug for Visit Erie. They always produce a fantastic magazine, and I like to grab it, and we keep it at the Township building, actually, just stockpiled for people too, because it lists, not only those staple attractions that we have here in Erie, but also those seasonal events.
Right.
So, it's a great magazine, check it out. And so, of course, Presque Isle is a 3,200 acre park, and you said 4 million people visit it.
4.2, 4.3, yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
That's an astounding number. You just don't realize what a tourist attraction Erie has really become in general.
And how much there is to do and how much there is to see. And like any other attraction, I think locally we take it for granted. I can't tell you how many of my neighbors. I live on the kind of the eastern side of Erie, and not only how many of my neighbors have never even been to the Tom Ridge Environmental Center, but have said to me, "Well, I haven't been on Presque Isle in years."
Yeah.
There's always something to discover, and I hope the growth we have at the Tom Ridge Environmental Center, and what the foundation's able to fund, and the excitement that we can create, making that facility a destination. I think we will appeal to locals just as much as visitors.
And you know what, the one thing you mentioned when you're pulling into the parking lot, I think this was probably one of my most favorite things about working at the Tom Ridge Center when I did work there. You pulled in and you parked, they had amazing native gardens all throughout the parking lot.
They do, and people will come and take photos. There's if you take the time to walk around, there's plaques talking about what that native species is, and going forward we have plans to make those even bigger and better and more beautiful with a campaign that the foundation's going to be kicking off.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
So what do you think the biggest misperceptions about TREC are?
I think what you're going to find inside what an environmental center is, what actually is done. You hear the words natural history research. Well, what is that? Not many people know that there's a natural history museum in the bottom floor that has archived every species and every insect and every fish, every plant. It's pretty amazing the work that's done there. But I think that misconception, I think that confusion will be alleviated now once we kind of become a partner to Erie and a partner to the region. And the new signage, it'll give people an opportunity, whether you're visiting and you've visited for years and never been in, or you live here and you've never been in. It gives you a reason now to say, oh, let's check this out. This looks pretty cool.
And I really would encourage not just visitors from out of town, but anybody who lives here locally. I know you've been to Presque Isle, but I definitely think if you've never been to TREC, you absolutely need to
and
go.
You get hooked. You work there, but you get hooked. You come in and once I think we become that, and I've worked in 2 different tourism destinations before. Once you recognize a place, this is where I want to start my visit. This is where I want to start my planning. You can hook them forever, and they will always start there. And when people start looking at that tower as, hey, let's get some information and then take a walk up and look at the lake, and that's how they kind of start their trip, or that needs to be included in their visit.
Right.
We'll have come a long way from where we were.
Right. And the next thing I want to touch on is the foundation's big signature annual event coming up on September 28th.
The Sunset Celebration.
Okay, tell me about that.
It's an event that's been going on for a couple of years. We've reimagined it a little bit. We've added a couple of new awards, and it's a fundraising event. It's an event that I think they've done for 5 or 6 years. The main awards this year, there's a 2017 Prescow Legacy Award. We're very excited to present that to Paul Nelson, who everyone knows is the owner and the CEO of Waldemere. I've gotten a chance to know him, an incredible guy, and I really want to honor that spirit and all he's done for Prescow. Ann DiTullio, who we mentioned earlier, is the Volunteer of the Year, very well deserved. I don't think anybody's helped me and helped the foundation kind of make the turn into a true foundation more than her. The Purple Martin Conservation Association is the recipient of the John C. Oliver Environmental Award. And if you were in the building, you remember Purple Martin, and the story behind Purple Martin and the amount of Purple Martins that migrate from Brazil to the Erie area every year is truly an amazing story. But each year there's less and less of them. And we're trying to help Purple Martin find out why. And recently we funded GPS tracking chips that are going to go on a number of birds, and we'll be able to track them on their trek to Brazil and back, and really kind of figure out why not as many of them come back each year. Is that have anything to do with global warming, or what are the reasons? So they'll be picking up that environmental award. And then the art show that you mentioned, that you were a judge.
Yes.
And I don't have the young lady's name in front of me, but we'll be giving away the chairman's award at the Sunset Celebration for the main award for the mixed media art show for students.
It was, I have to tell you, so incredibly hard to judge.
Had to be.
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
So, but it was very fun. So, who's all involved in putting this organization together? Who's invited? Can the general public attend?
Absolutely. All the information will be on the foundation's website. We're formally going to announce it right at the beginning of June, and it'll be happening in September. We're thrilled this year that Governor Ridge will be there as a guest presenter, and we're really looking forward to. I want it to be a celebration. So I've been involved in many events in my career, and there are fundraising kind of dinners, and then there's a celebration. It can seem like a party, and that's what we want because there's so much great work going on. But if anyone goes to our website, which is trecf.org, they can get information about the event, and certainly anybody can purchase a ticket or become involved in any way, and we could use volunteers for it as well as we're building the committee. But it's going to be a great night for not just Erie but for the environment.
And do you have that money that you plan on fundraising that night? Do you have that earmarked toward a project already?
It is going to benefit a new initiative that we're calling the TREC Experience Educational Initiative, which is a field trip initiative. And for a long time, the foundation has funded the busing costs for middle schools, elementary schools, even high schools to come to the TREC for various purposes. Maybe they want to see one of the great environmentally focused movies that we're showing, or one of our great educators teaches a class, or they go down on the park for a class there. So we've always funded kind of a portion of the busing, and it's through the IU5 organization, and it has worked very well. But as school budgets have tightened, as our own school district in Erie is had struggles with budgets. That's in the news almost every night. Well, part of the busing no longer cuts it. So we have the proceeds from this event and a number of other fundraising initiatives that we're doing individually and corporately and reaching out to people are going to fund the whole field trip. So it funds the bus, funds the movie, funds the educational trip, and we really just wanted to make it as apply. There's an application process, but once that's in, we'll award the grant, and that field trip will be 100% paid for.
That's incredible.
We just put the idea out in April, and applications doubled. So we know it works. It's a fundraising winner, and we're excited to continue that. But this event will not only highlight that, but the proceeds will go towards that.
Yeah, and your organization, we don't have much time here, but your organization is all about education. Can you tell me about this new Endowment Fund to help raise more money towards environmental education too?
Oh, absolutely. The Endowment Fund has really been in existence since the original fundraising phase when the building was built. So that endowment's been there. Building it enables us to do more. I think the reason that they only funded And part of the busing in the past was the size of the endowment. So building that, making it bigger, gives us much more money to put back out into the community for environmental, education, and telling that story is something that we're really going to push.
And again, we only have just a few minutes here. What is your vision for the future? Because you guys, I just want to list a few of these, and I actually want to put them on the screen as well. You guys have supported the gardens at TREC, school transportation field trips, the nature board and the TREC lobby, environmental awareness, educational programs, the big green screen films. I want to just mention what's playing right now: the extreme weather, walking with dinosaurs, flight of butterflies and mysteries of the Great Lakes, Green Careers Day, Wildlife Film Festival, and the John C. Oliver Environmental Award. Where do you guys see taking the organization into the future?
Well, more of that, certainly. We're going to be announcing a campaign, both capital and to benefit the endowment. The capital part of it will upgrade a lot of the displays that you've seen so much having worked in the building. Some of those are going to be updated. We've got some plans, I can't announce them yet, which will add some new elements to the building, which I think are going to be very exciting. The TREC Gardens, we talked about that, really taking that to the next level. And as we build the endowment, that education initiative, doing more funding for Purple Martin, doing more funding for partners like Environment Erie. We were just the major presenter for the Audubon and the Festival of Birds on Presque Isle, and people came in from all over the state, for that. So I think by making the TREC a true destination and a partner and a focal point in Erie, it enables us to do the fundraising necessary to make the TREC the place to be, whether you live here or whether you're visiting.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad you were able to take time out of your busy day today. Thank you so much for being here.
I had fun.
Can you tell our audience where to find out more information? Do you have a Facebook page or a website?
We do. The website is, again, one of the best places to go, trecf.org, trecfoundation.org. And Facebook is facebook.com/TREC Foundation.
Thank you so much, David, for being with us here today.
Enjoyed it.
These are so many wonderful projects. I love what you guys do. I really want to make that big push for people to go to the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. It's now our visitor center. Viewers, I just want to make sure that, again, if you're either just visiting or if you're a local, if you're a native to Erie, make sure you check out the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. Make it your first stop before you even go on to Presque Isle. They have so many fantastic things going on there. Like I said, like the big green screen films, that's such a hidden secret, and they have wonderful films there. So please go to the website, their Facebook page. Thanks for tuning in to the Millcreek Government Channel today, and until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.